Hey y'all, today I'm going to be doing a year recap video, really looking back at our school year for 2020, 2021, specifically for my daughter's first grade year. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking that play button for the very first time. I really hope that you'll consider sticking around. My name is Kaela. I'm a second generation homeschool mom to two girls aged 7 and 4 in Texas. And this is Ode to Abode, a place where I love to share about home education, homemaking, and parenthood, and all the highs and lows that come along with those things. If you love those things too, please consider hitting that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and turn those notifications to all so that you'll be the first to know when I make a new video. So my oldest daughter, Eleanor, her birthday is in January. So she started her first grade year in August at 6.5, and now she is 7.5, and she just wrapped up her first grade year. I really want to keep the focus of this video very positive and talk about all of the good things that happened this past school year. Of course, there were some things that we tried that weren't a great fit, that didn't work out for us very well. And I've already made videos about that. I've already discussed some of our struggles with specifically language arts curriculum and some of the changes that we've had to make along the way to get to a better place with reading and language arts in general. So that's not what this video is going to be about. If you're interested in those videos, I will go ahead and link them below in the description box so that you can get a better idea of where we're coming from and some things that we've already tried that didn't work well for our family. But in this video, I just want to sit back and relish how amazing and transformative and beautiful this school year was for us. A little background information. I already said I'm a second generation homeschooler. Homeschooling was always the plan for us. We did not start homeschooling because of the pandemic, as I know so many people did, but that wasn't our story. The reason that 2020 was special for us, though, is that it was our first year really having a structured, formal plan for our homeschool. Up until 2020, we took more of a laid-back, unschooling, natural learning approach. And I still count all of that time as homeschool time. I still count those years as a total part of how long I've homeschooled, because there was a lot of learning that took place during those years. And we also did use some curriculum type things. We would occasionally use workbooks for things like math. We did a phonics program for reading. But most of the learning that happened was very child-led, it was very interest-led, and it was very organic and natural. Our family also went through a lot from 2018 to 2020. My husband lost a job after being there for over a decade. I had to go back to work, and we questioned as a family whether we would continue with home education, whether that was going to work for us at all. We even considered enrolling my daughter in a local Montessori school because it seemed like the best option, seemed like the best alternative if we couldn't have what we really wanted, which was homeschooling. And then right in the middle of all of that, the pandemic started. And then everything changed for all of us, right? I'm so thankful that at the time that the pandemic started, when so many people were losing their jobs, my husband actually found a new job after being out of work and having inconsistent work for a while. So that was a blessing, because when my husband went back to work, it meant that I could come back down to just working part-time instead of full-time. And that made the idea of homeschooling slightly more realistic for our family. And of course, with the start of the pandemic and all of the schools in our area going to virtual learning, including that Montessori school, that really changed what our options were. We just decided, okay, this is the answer that we've been looking for. We're definitely sticking with homeschooling 100%. Because we had pursued natural learning and child-led learning and more of an unschooling approach for a couple of years already, we were very well aware that we needed more structure. My oldest daughter was craving more structure. She was asking for more formal sit-down learning time, and I was craving more structure. So all of that meant that 2020 was our first year doing formal, planned out homeschool for a whole school year. I knew, or at least I thought I knew, exactly what sort of curriculum and resources were going to work best for our family. And I spent all of the spring and summer of 2020 planning, researching, buying things with the intention that August 1st was going to be our first day of starting this new chapter in our homeschool. It was very exciting, not just for me, but also for my daughter. I made the conscious choice to really try to keep things simple. I didn't want to bombard us with so many resources or so much curriculum that we would get overwhelmed or exhausted or burn out really quickly. I also wanted to ensure that we really got the basics of our curriculum down before we added a whole bunch of things to it. So I purposefully chose to focus on math and language arts. The curriculum that I found for language arts, which was Blossom and Root, ended up having a science component and a nature study component and an art study component. And as it turned out, we loved the science and the art study with Blossom and Root. The language arts wasn't a good fit for us, and the nature study was kind of hit or miss, but Blossom and Root science, we loved. It has been a huge hit with the whole family. And Blossom and Root, the art study, the math in art, which I recently did a video on as well, that's been a huge hit and a huge success. And so those are both things that we will continue on with. We did finish all of the first grade level of Blossom and Root science. So in our next school year, we will be starting year 2 of Blossom and Root science. And we are still working our way through year 1 of the art study, and that's totally fine with me. Just taking our time with that and really enjoying it. The other curriculum that we started off our year with right away was Singapore Dimensions Math, and I feel so blessed because we got math right the first time, and I know how rare that is in the homeschool community. I feel like math is a subject that a lot of people struggle with, and getting math right the first time was such a win. My older daughter already was showing that she was very interested in math. We had done some workbooks and some interest-led math learning, so she had a little bit of a foundation already. She could do basic, 1-digit addition and subtraction. She could tell time. She had some experience with like money math, but Singapore Dimensions Math just blew her away, and it blew me away too. The way that it's laid out, the way that it's presented could not be a better or more perfect fit for her for her learning style, and also for me. I'm learning from it too. It's so engaging. We love Singapore Dimensions Math, and of course we will continue using it next year. Singapore Dimensions Math is also, ironically, one of the reasons why my plans for my youngest daughter for this past year went off the tracks. I need to make a different video for my youngest daughter's school year recap. I will make that video. The other thing that we did for first grade was a music program. My oldest daughter is so naturally inclined to art and to music, and we have a piano in the house. And so we decided to try out Hoffman Academy, which is an online piano course or curriculum. I really love Hoffman Academy. My daughter is able to do those piano lessons independently. It is a video course online, and then the website also provides you with your membership a lot of printables and activities to go along with the online lessons and give your child an opportunity to practice all of the things that they're learning. We really enjoy it. We will be continuing with Hoffman Academy next year as well. Okay, so we talked about math, we talked about science, we talked about music and art. So the big thing that you already know, if you've seen other videos, is that the language arts component didn't click into place for a while. The whole first half of the school year, we were kind of floundering with language arts. My daughter had already had a foundation with reading. We had done a phonics book, Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. We tried to do Blossom and Root Language Arts, which is a beautiful literature-based language arts program. And then about 3/4 of the way through our school year, we started All About Reading. All About Reading was such a game changer. It felt like the missing puzzle piece in our homeschool last year. I was so relieved that we found it and that it worked. It clicked with my daughter right away. She loved the hands-on element of All About Reading because she is a little kinesthetic. She likes doing things with her hands. And we started her with level 1. She probably would have been ready for level 2 because, like I said, we'd already done a whole phonics curriculum. But I started her with level 1 because I felt like there were some gaps that I needed to fill. And I also felt like she needed to build her confidence, and she also needed to rekindle her interest in reading, because for us, when we had tried things that weren't the best fit, every time that happened, a little bit of her interest left as well with those curriculums that didn't work. So All About Reading, starting her with level 1, it built her confidence and it rekindled her interest in reading. And once we started All About Reading, she just took off as a reader. And so I would say since March, I feel like we started in March or February of this year, she's just been reading nonstop. She's been reading picture books. She's been reading graphic novels. She's been reading chapter books. She's started book series. The thing that I am most proud of for this past school year for first grade with her is how much she's grown in her reading aptitude, her fluency, her comprehension, but also just her passion for reading, her love for reading has grown exponentially since starting All About Reading. And we did finish all of level 1. We also did All About Spelling level 1, and we have completed that, and it's so exciting to see the progress she's made. Both of those programs have been a great fit for our family. As far as history, geography, social studies, I know that those are all very interconnected, so that's why I'm kind of lumping them together. We maintained our unschooling approach with history through almost the entire school year. Recently, at the very end of first grade, we started a formal history curriculum, which I have a video about. But for 99% of the school year, we kept a very laid-back approach to history. And yet, she still learned a lot of history during first grade. And it was all interest-led. It was all very organic, very natural. We watched Hamilton like 200 times. And because of watching Hamilton, because of becoming obsessed with Hamilton, she learned so much American history. We did a lot of research together with American history, and that was just a very natural, organic thing that just happened. I didn't have a plan for it. It just happened. The other natural, organic history thing that happened during first grade is, I don't even remember how this happened, but somewhere along the way, my daughter found out about Anne Frank and became obsessed with Anne Frank, became obsessed with all of the history surrounding that beautiful girl. She read 3 books about Anne Frank. She just devoured anything she could get her hands on in regards to Anne Frank, in regards to World War II, in regards to the Holocaust. A lot of it was really deep stuff. A lot of it is sad. It's painful. It's hard to talk about. But because she was interested in this person, because she felt a connection and a kinship, it just happened so naturally, and it was a beautiful thing to watch and experience with her. And it actually, those 2 things, Hamilton and Anne Frank, have been the catapult that has started her interest in history, her passion for history. And that's what showed me that we were ready for a formal history curriculum. So yeah, there you go. That's what we did for history. For geography, it's also laid back. It's also very loose. I did not buy a formal geography curriculum. I didn't buy any geography workbooks. We did KiwiCo Atlas boxes. They're fantastic. I love them. I know that they're expensive, and I don't want to make anyone feel like they need them, because there's plenty of ways to learn geography, including free ways. But the Kiwi Atlas boxes were so fun, and it was something that my girls could do together. And I just feel like it's a good introduction to geography, especially for young kids, especially for kinesthetic kids or like artsy, crafty kids. It was perfect for us to just kind of get our feet wet with geography, and we used the box subscription as a jumping off point, and then we would follow rabbit trails and questions and do more research about any of the countries that were featured, because the way it works is they feature a different country in each box every month. The Kiwi boxes combined with some beautiful map books. We got a couple of wonderful atlases. We just had fun with it, and I feel like both of my kids learned and retained a lot just from that. For social studies, we have naturally, because of Hamilton, because of our American history, because of Anne Frank and my daughter's interest in the Holocaust, we've naturally had a lot of lessons and conversations about racial injustice, about prejudice. Those are just where the conversations go. And we didn't have a formal curriculum or a formal unit study for those topics, but we did learn about them naturally. We did read a lot of books, a lot of children's books that discuss those things. I do intend to include some more formal social studies for second grade, but that's kind of an overview of the curriculum we used that worked, that we loved, that we completed, There were a lot of other things that we tried that may not have worked, and there's also things that we've just recently started because we're year-round homeschoolers. So there are a few things that kind of fall into that transition period between grade levels, even though technically we started them during first grade. And so we'll have to wait and talk about those next year. By far, our top 3 favorites for the year were Blossom and Root Science, Singapore Dimensions Math, and All About Reading. Those were our top 3 favorites, the ones that we used the most consistently, the ones that we got the most out of. However, that being said, it is impossible to summarize a whole school year of learning and growing and exploring with just some workbooks or curriculum that you finished. There's so much more in there. We took a beach trip as a family. We went to a turtle rehabilitation center on the coast in Texas. We went to a local bird sanctuary where we were able to see amazing birds and reptiles that are local to the Gulf Coast. We learned about weather and seasons and so much earth science, the layers of the earth, landforms, bodies of water, continents. We learned about continental drift with graham crackers and marshmallow spread. My 7-year-old made so much art. I have an entire binder filled with all of her beautiful art that she created, some of which went along with what we were learning, and most of it is just art that she made because she loves art and she's an artist. We watched musicals and documentaries and movies. And yeah, we spent a lot of time at home because it was the pandemic and all of us spent a lot of time at home. I got to watch my daughter blossom and grow and mature. She grew in her ability to manage responsibilities around the house. She grew as a mentor for her younger sister. She grew in her knowledge of the earth and plants and animals and people. She grew in her knowledge of history. She grew in her love and appreciation for art and music. She grew in her math comprehension and her reading comprehension, and she grew in her passion for literature and for learning. I couldn't ask for a better first grade year. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was awesome. I'm so excited to see what second grade brings us. And I got this idea from watching Tori over at the Oglesby Ohana. She actually spoke to her children in her year-end recap video. So, Eleanor, if you ever watch this, is it possible to do this without crying? I loved first grade with you. It was great. Oh, being a mom is the worst. You just cry all the time. It was a great school year. I hope you had a great school year too. If you're about to start your first year homeschooling, it's gonna be good. I promise. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, go kiss your babies and hug them. They're growing too fast. I'll see you guys in the next one.